Today I want to talk to you about pies. Now don't worry, I didn't become a cooking channel overnight, but actually it's really interesting, and these are investing pies through Trading 212, letting you to create your own ETF, which is really amazing. So I'm going to show you what it is, how you can do it, and what are the benefits of it, and whether it's worth it for you or not. But I really think it's an interesting feature that not many other brokers I've seen let you do, and in fact it's actually free of charge. So it's part of the commission-free trading, which is really awesome. And you can really build your own ETF with any stocks that you want in there. And there's also already some pre-made ETFs that you can choose from and follow community ETFs. And you can even share your own made pie or ETF with other people for them to follow as well. So I really think it could be an amazing and powerful feature for you. First off, you want to download the Trading 212 app over here. And if you haven't signed up to Trading 212 yet, then please use my link down in the description below, and you'll have the chance to get a free share valued up to 100 euros to get you started. So once you're up and running and your account is registered, obviously you get into your portfolio page, and then obviously you will deposit some money and start buying your first shares or ETFs, as I've done myself over here. You can see my one and only holding right now is the S&P 500 ETF. But of course today I want to talk about investment pies, which is really unique to Trading 212. So you see over here the blue line under investments. What you have to do, and many people struggle to find that, even though it's actually quite easy once you know it, it's to the right of it you will see pies. So let's click into this over here, and you will see already have two tests over here. And obviously the more pies you have, you will see all of them listed over here. Now, full disclosure, I'm not using pies myself, but I think it can be relevant because a lot of people have been asking me, Kai, how can I automate my investments and my different stock buys? I don't want to just buy one ETF like I do. I want to buy different stocks, individual stocks, and some ETFs, but I don't want to have to do that manually every time. And that's one of the main appeals as to why you should be using pies, potentially, right? All you want to do from here is start on create pie. Click on that over here, and then you'll be presented with two options. Build your own pie. So you can either use an already pre-made pie for you. Basically, you copy someone else's pie and just replicate it. And I'll show you that in a second. And the second option is to make your own pie, right? So it's really up to you what you prefer. If you want to build your own sort of instruments and your own investment style, then the second option will be better. But if you just want to copy some other pies, you can choose the already pre-made pie. It's basically a selection of ETFs that you can choose from. So let's look at both of them, starting with the pre-made pie. So click into this over here. And once again, here we have two different options. We have kind of professional pies from ETF providers, in this case, Wisdom Tree, which is another big ETF provider like State Street, the one I'm using, or Vanguard, or even BlackRock. Slightly smaller, but still one of the bigger ones out there in the world. And you see here, a couple of those presented to you. You have the core one, you have a tech-focused ETF pie, you have a multi-thematic one, you have environmental, if that's important for you, and you see how they're composed of. Equity basically means stocks, then you have some that also include some bonds, and some with commodities such as silver or gold or what have you, right? For example, some people want to invest maybe into tech. So you could click into this over here and see all the things that are part of that particular ETF. So that's not an ETF by itself, but actually that pie has so many different ETFs in there, which is really cool. With one pie, you have so many ETFs, which you would otherwise have to manually buy yourself. So really, really cool. And if you want to jump into any of those, it's very easy. For example, blockchain ETF, just jump into this over here, scroll down, and you see all the individual holdings that this particular ETF has, right? MicroStrategy, Robinhood Markets, Coinbase. You will also own the artificial intelligence ETF. So if you click into this over here, you will see the individual holdings in that particular ETF, like Nvidia, Taiwan Semiconductors, and others. So really, really cool that with one pie, you have access to all of those. And you see the number to the right. This is the individual weighting, how much each of those ETFs is weighted in that particular pie, right? So it's really, really cool. So if you're happy with this, you can just go ahead, click on select pie over here. And once again, you will see all the holdings that you will be buying. If you confirm this, you will get a pop-up, and that's really cool. It basically says if there will be any changes from Wisdom Tree to any of those holdings or compositions, Trading 212 will inform you to confirm those changes. So if you don't accept that, you don't have to change it. Only if you accept it, your portfolio, your pie will be adjusted accordingly. So I think it's really, really cool that they do involve you and ask for your permission to make those changes. But of course, in most cases, obviously, if you want to copy other people's pies, then of course it makes sense to accept those changes in most cases. So click on next over here, and then you have two options. You can either auto invest, which I guess most of you should really be doing to set your investment on autopilot, set it and forget it, either daily, weekly, monthly, it's up to you. I'll show you in a second how easy it is. And then it just keeps on buying and growing your portfolio over time without you having to think about it, manually doing it. I think that's the best way. But if you want to do it manually, there's the option as well. And I'll show you that in a second as well. So let's go ahead with auto invest. Click on next over here. And then you see a value projection. If I increase the years over here to, let's say, 30 years, you will see a nice portfolio value of 14.5 million. But yeah, don't get too carried away. That's basically based on historic returns. If I click on this number over here, it has returned 17.9% for the last 5 years. So it's just an average. But we know past returns are not a guarantee for future returns. So keep that in mind when you do those projections. And this is not a guarantee, right? It's not Trading 212 or WisdomTree promising you those returns. This is just historic performance, which you could potentially expect in the future, but really not necessarily. That's of course a risk of investing, right? And then from here, obviously, you can change the years, but it's not a commitment. I mean, the smallest number is 1 year, but even if you wanted to break it after 1 day, you could easily do that. Just cancel your pie and that's it, right? So it's really not a commitment. So it's just an indication of how long you want to have that, investment going on potentially. Then you can click on monthly over here, and here you can change the deposit schedule. So you can either do it daily, you can buy weekly, every 2 weeks, monthly. I wouldn't recommend anything more than monthly, for every 2 months or every 6 months. I think it's way too infrequent. The more frequently you do it, you dollar cost average, and usually you get a better price. And the cool thing is, with Trading 212, you obviously don't have any commissions, right? So you could do it even daily. Just have a smaller amount, slice up your monthly amount that you have to invest in smaller parts, basically, 22 working days when the stock markets are open, and then just have a smaller portion every day, right? But it's up to you how you want to do it. I usually buy weekly, so let's say weekly over here, you can pick a date. Let's go with Wednesday, middle of the week, click on update. Each ETF or share has to have a minimum of €1 investment. So since there is, I believe, 12 ETFs in there, it would be €12 in this case, right? But if you had a pie with, let's say, 2 shares or 2 ETFs in there, it would be minimum €2, right? So you get the drift. So it's up to you how much you want to put over there. So yeah, just say €150 per week. And then you have initial deposit. So what you want to invest right now, it's really up to you. Whatever works for you, click on next. Just go ahead, give it a name that resonates with you. You can even click on the icon, change the icon if you wanted to, save for something in particular. And yeah, click on next. And then you have one more section to review everything. If you're happy with this, you can just click on Fund Pie, and basically it will be set up and start, buying those shares, this particular ETF with the composition that you just seen for you every single week, or however you set it up. So I really love that feature. It's so cool. I think really helpful for so many people out there. Now there's also second options of ready-made pies. So if I jump back into build your pie, click on ready-made pies, and you see at the top right, there are community pies. So these are basically pies built by people within the Trading 212 community. And you see here a lot of different pies. You have top pies, you have new pies. So anyone can create your own pie basically, and you could technically create your own pie and put it up for the community, and others could follow that as well. But basically, let's stick with the top pies, and you can see here inside the circle, you see 114,000 people copying that particular pie, which is unbelievable. How many people? 2.59 million people viewed it. So let's jump into it. Like, click on the blue arrow and you see how it is basically composed of. You can click on the description over here, what's the idea behind it, and so on. There is commentary as well. If you want to see what's inside of it, select pie over here, and once again a pop-up comes up saying that they will inform you of any changes to that pie. If one company leaves, another one comes, you will be informed, which is really cool, and I love that Trading 212 does that. So let's click on next over here, and you see over here the average annual returns. Again, these are indicative based on historic returns, right? That's really not a guarantee for future returns. But here you see basically all the individual holdings, and most of them, obviously, I guess all of them are dividend-paying companies. That's why the pie is called, almost daily dividends, because you'll be receiving a lot of dividends. So if you're into dividends, then it might be really attractive. Now you could change the composition of your pie. Maybe you want to have more Microsoft in it, so you could adjust the slider over here to have a higher weighting of Microsoft inside your pie. But obviously, we want to just copy that particular pie. So let's go ahead and click on next. And once again, we're presented with two options. Auto invest, I just showed you how that works. So it's the same principle. Or you can click on manual. So let's go ahead with manual. You can give it a name that makes sense for you. Click on create pie. And boom, as simple as that. If I go back into my pies, you can see over here, copy of almost, and then I click into this, and here you can do a couple of more things. For example, you can give it a goal. So click on goal, and they say, your goal is to achieve 100,000 in that particular pie. So let's select the goal. And the cool thing is, so every time you make deposits and your pie grows, you get closer to your goal. So I really like that, to visualize you and keep you on track and focus to continue investing, which quite like. Then of course you also have the auto invest feature in case you want to change it later on. If you wanted to, click toggle on over here, auto invest. And once again, you do the same as I shown you before, how often you want to invest, initial deposit, and just set it up this way, which as I said, also you can cancel anytime, or you can switch off auto invest later on if you wanted to. So it's really, really easy. There's no fees or penalties if you change any of that, which I really like. And the cool thing is also dividends, right? You can click into this over here, and right now any dividends that pays for you is basically automatically reinvested. So it's really investing on autopilot. Any dividend you receive it will basically buy more shares with those dividends on your behalf, because you can have fractional shares, right? And it's really, really nice, and I quite enjoy that feature. Now, if you don't want that, you can also click it on off, and basically now the dividends that you receive will be paid into your cash account, which will then accumulate interest, or you can use that money to buy other shares if you wanted to, or of course, if it's a big dividend, you can pay it out to yourself, to your bank account, and use it for whatever you have to. Maybe buy some real tasty pie with it. But yeah, to have that option, I think is really cool. And once again, without any fees, really seamless and really, really nicely done. And of course, you can click in your holdings to remind yourself of what are the companies inside that pie. And of course, as we are right now on manual, you can just click on invest over here, select the amount that you want to buy for, and you can just go ahead from there. So really, really simple and easy. With this, we move to one more option of creating your own pie, which is really, really powerful. So let's click on create pie, and you see here, build a custom pie. And honestly, that's a real game changer. Not many other brokers that I know of. Here you can really compose your own ETF in a way, even more powerful, because in that pie you can include stocks and different ETFs all in one. And then you can set up auto invest, and that basically automates everything without you having to think about it. So really, really powerful. So what you want to do is go ahead and click on add instruments over here, and here you choose all the various stocks or ETFs that you want to add to your pie. So let's go ahead, pick a couple. Let's start off with Nvidia, right? I mean, they've been doing really well recently, so let's go ahead, add that to the pie. Select another one, maybe Microsoft. People like some tech in their pies, right? So let's do that as well, add to pie. All right, let's go back from here and maybe also add the S&P 500 ETF, which I'm buying myself, which is the SPY 5 ETF based in London in dollars. Yep, obviously you see a list, you have to pick the right one, but let's go ahead with this one, add to pie. Boom, you see at the bottom here, that's the 3 positions that I have in my pie. Click to the right, and then you see here, basically, based on those 3 holdings, I would have a historic return of 20%. Now, once again, that's historic performance, right? That's not a guarantee or a promise for future returns, but potentially it might return like that. So you can see right now my pie is equally split between the 3, right? The minimum investment is €3 because each investment class is a minimum of €1. So the more you have, it's always €1, right? So if you have 5, it would be €5 minimum investment. If I wanted to change the composition of it, I can just slide these things around, and let's say I want to give more weighting to the S&P 500, for example, and then yeah, all I have to do. But obviously now you see it's 34%, 33, and 62. Together it should be 100%, right? So you would have to do the math, or you click at the right over here, and it's very easy. It says, do you want to redistribute? Click confirm, and it will kind of rebalance it accordingly to come to 100%. You see, if it's 100% at the top right, that means it's equally distributed. So it's really, really nice. And yeah, just click on next over here. And once again, you can set it up how you wish, auto invest or manual. Let's go ahead with auto invest. Next, once again, set up how you want your investments to be done, weekly, monthly, how many years or not. Again, you can cancel any time. So the same principle for any of the pies that I've previously shown you. Super simple, super straightforward. Click on next over here. Just give it a name. Click on next. Once again, you have a review page where you can see if everything is fine. And if you're happy with this, click on Fund Pie, and you're off to the races. Well, there you have it, friends. I think it's a real powerful feature by Trading 212 that, as I said, I haven't seen many other brokers offering. And if you want to automate your investments as much as possible, which I always recommend, because life gets busy, right? And then you're going to have excuses of why you couldn't invest one week and you push it to next week. That way, it's set it and forget it. Just make sure you have enough money in your Trading 212 account. Obviously, you can also automate that to have a regular bank transfer from your bank to Trading 212. So you always have enough money over there. While it sits waiting to be invested, it collects interest, right? And Trading 212 pays very nice interest. Right now, I'm getting 4.2% on my euros, for example, just by sitting there waiting to be invested. And once it gets invested, it does so automatically, free of charge, without any commission. And the cool thing is, you can have different instruments inside the pie, right? So as I said, I love ETF investing. So of course, I'm going to buy my ETF with that. But I know some of you might still, in addition to the ETF, have some dividend-paying companies or some high growth stocks in there. And you can add as many as you wish. And if you haven't tried it out yet, then definitely give it a go. I think you're going to love it. And if you have any questions about any of it, let me know down in the comments below. I'll get back to every single one of you. Next up, check out this video over here. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.